The low hum of machinery filled the bridge of the UES Harbinger as it cruised through the emptiness of deep space. Lieutenant Daniel Gray sat at his communication station, eyes half closed after 8 hours of monitoring nothing but cosmic background noise. His shift was nearly over when a strange pattern caught his attention. "Captain," he called, suddenly alert. "I'm picking up an unusual signal." Captain Lisa Reeves turned from her command chair. The veteran spacer had led the Harbinger for 5 years, and unexpected transmissions in this sector were rare. "Source?" she asked, moving to his station. "Unknown, ma'am. It's coming from Sector 7 Delta, about 3 light-years from our position." Gray's fingers danced across his console. "It's repeating in intervals of exactly 47 seconds. Science Officer Paul Martinez joined them, his interest piqued. "That's not random. Let me see the pattern." Gray displayed the waveform on the main screen. Martinez studied it, his brow furrowing. "This has mathematical properties," he said quietly. "Prime numbers, specifically. This isn't natural background radiation." Captain Reeves straightened. "Are you saying it's artificial? A message?" "Almost certainly," Martinez replied. "And given the mathematical sequence, it's designed to be recognized by other intelligent species." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. "It's a distress call," said Gray suddenly. He looked up at his captain. "I've analyzed similar patterns in historical records. This matches the structure of emergency broadcasts." Security Officer Kevin Rodriguez frowned from his station. "Could be a trap. Pirates have used fake distress signals before." "Sector 7 Delta is outside our patrol zone," Navigation Officer Stephanie Clark pointed out. "We'd need authorization to investigate." Captain Reeves paced the bridge, weighing her options. "How long has the signal been transmitting, Lieutenant Gray?" Gray ran the calculations. His eyes widened. "Based on signal degradation and light speed limitations, approximately 33 years, Captain." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Whatever had sent that call had been waiting for help for over 3 decades. "Plot a course to the signal source," Reeves ordered, "and inform Earth Command of our detour." As the Harbinger changed direction, Martinez continued analyzing the signal. "Captain, there's something else. The transmission contains data packets beyond the mathematical sequence. Can you decode them?" "Working on it." Martinez's fingers flew across his console. "It appears to be a visual representation. I'm reconstructing it now." The main screen flickered, then displayed a grainy image of what appeared to be a spacecraft, unlike any human design. It was damaged, with visible breaches in its hull. "There's more," Martinez said. "The signal contains what might be biological data. Life sign readings, perhaps." Chief Engineer Olivia Winters, who had arrived on the bridge after being summoned, studied the alien ship design. "That vessel has suffered weapons damage. Those aren't meteor impacts or structural failures." Captain Reeves's expression hardened. "Someone attacked them." "The signal strength is increasing," Gray reported. "We're getting closer." "All hands to alert status," Reeves commanded. "We don't know what we're walking into." The Harbinger surged forward, engines pushing to maximum safe speed. The crew prepared equipment, checked weapons systems, and readied the medical bay. "If there are survivors after 30 years, Dr. William Porter said as he organized his medical team, they must be in some form of stasis. Any biological entity would have." "We'll know soon enough," Reeves interrupted. "Estimated arrival." 6 hours at current speed, Captain," Clark answered. Reeves nodded. "Whatever sent this call has waited 33 years. We won't make them wait any longer." The UES Harbinger dropped out of hyperspace with a flash of light, its engines humming down to standby mode. Before them hung a massive vessel, nearly 3 times the size of their own ship. Its hull was dark, with only a few flickering lights visible through the breaches in its structure. "Scan for life signs," Captain Reeves ordered. Her voice hushed as they all stared at the alien craft. "Detecting minimal power signatures," Science Officer Martinez reported. "And, yes, Life signs. Faint but present. Hundreds of them. Hundreds. Dr. Porter whispered. After all this time. Lieutenant Gray's console lit up. Captain, the signal has changed. I think they've detected us. On the main screen, a new message appeared, not in words, but in mathematical symbols. Martins worked quickly to interpret them. It's a greeting, I think, or a plea. They're using universal constants as a foundation for communication. Chief Engineer Winters stepped forward. Captain, I'd like to lead a boarding party. If they've been stranded here for decades, their life support must be failing. Captain Reeves nodded. Assemble your team. Take Lieutenant Harris for communication, Rodriguez for security, and Dr. Porter for medical assessment. Within 30 minutes, the boarding party stood in the airlock. Dressed in environmental suits, the Harbinger had maneuvered alongside the alien vessel, extending a docking tube to what appeared to be an entry point. Remember, Winters cautioned her team. We have no idea what we're walking into. Stay alert. They crossed into the alien ship, flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air was thin but breathable, with higher humidity than Earth standard. The corridors were wide, with curved walls that glistened with a film of moisture. It's like they designed this for an aquatic species, Harris observed, running her gloved hand along the wall. Rodriguez kept his hand near his sidearm. Movement ahead, he warned. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and slender, with bluish skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its face had no nose, but gill-like structures pulsed on its neck. Large, dark eyes regarded the humans with what appeared to be a mixture of fear and hope. Harris stepped forward, displaying the mathematical symbols they had prepared on her tablet. The alien studied them, then produced sounds that seemed halfway between clicks and song. I think it wants us to follow, Harris said as the creature gestured with a four-fingered hand. The alien led them deeper into the ship, to a vast chamber filled with transparent pods. Inside each pod floated a being similar to their guide, suspended in a clear liquid. Stasis chambers, Dr. Porter said, scanning them with his medical equipment. They've been keeping themselves alive by cycling through suspended animation. The liquid contains nutrients and oxygen. Their guide activated a console, displaying images on a large screen. It showed a planet being consumed by massive solar flares, then the ship's departure with thousands aboard. Their star was dying, Martins said, watching the images. They evacuated. The next images were darker. Another ship, angular and predatory, firing upon the refugees. Many escape vessels were destroyed. Then the long drift through space, power failing, crew entering stasis to conserve resources. The alien touched a symbol, and a star map appeared, with a blinking light indicating a location. I think that's their destination, Harris said. A colony world, perhaps. They never made it. The alien produced more clicking sounds, more urgent now. It pointed to another approaching dot on the map. Rodriguez tensed. Captain, we need to get back to the Harbinger now. I think our new friends are trying to tell us the people who attacked them are coming back. The alien's gills flared in what could only be interpreted as fear. Absolutely not. Admiral John Miller's face on the communication screen was stern and unyielding. The Harbinger is a survey vessel, not a warship. Your orders are to provide humanitarian assistance only and withdraw before any potential hostile contact. Captain Reeves stood straight, hands clasped behind her back. Sir, with respect, we can't abandon these people. The Nilari, that's what they call themselves, have survived against impossible odds for decades. I understand your concern, Captain, but we know nothing about these Vorkath aggressors. This could trigger an interstellar incident or worse. The meeting in the Harbinger's command room continued after the transmission ended. Captain Reeves looked around at her senior officers, their faces showing a mix of determination and concern. Options, she asked simply. Chief Engineer Winters spoke first. We've begun transferring the most critical cases to our medical bay. Dr. Porter has made remarkable progress understanding their physiology. Dr. Porter nodded. They're oxygen brothers like us, but absorb it through gill structures. Their body chemistry is similar enough that we can treat their basic needs. But, Captain, there are over 400 survivors in those stasis pods. We can't possibly take them all. Lieutenant Harris, who had spent the most time communicating with the Nilari, stepped forward. Their ambassador, Kelth, has shared more about the Vorkath. They're not just pirates or raiders. They're systematic hunters. They target developing spacefaring species and harvest their technology, resources, and people. For what purpose? Martins asked. Expansion. The Vorkath believe it's their right to consume lesser species. They've been doing this for centuries. Security Officer Rodriguez cleared his throat. Captain, I've analyzed the weapons signatures on the Nilari ship. The Vorkath technology is advanced, perhaps a century beyond our own. A heavy silence fell over the room. The implications were clear. Earth could be next. Lieutenant Gray, Captain Reeves turned to her communications officer. What's the status on those intercepted transmissions? Gray looked up from his tablet. I've confirmed 3 Vorkath vessels approaching this sector. Based on their current trajectory and speed, they'll arrive within 18 hours. Engineer Winters leaned forward. We could try to tow the Nilari vessel away, but their engines are too damaged. It would take days to get them to safe distance. And the nearest Earth fleet? Reeves asked. 4 days at maximum speed, Rodriguez answered grimly. Captain Reeves walked to the viewport, looking out at the damaged alien ship that had carried its precious cargo of survivors for so long. She turned back to her crew. I will not abandon them, but I won't order any of you to stay. This goes beyond our mission parameters, and Admiral Miller was clear. No one moved. After a moment, Navigation Officer Clark spoke up. The Nilari have been running for 30 years, Captain. Where would they go if we got them away from here? Lieutenant Harris activated a star map. Kelth showed me this system. It's uninhabited but suitable for their species. It's within our territory. Martin had studied the coordinates. That's Colony B7, marked for future development but currently unoccupied. It would work for them. So we have a destination. Reeves nodded. Now we need time to get there. We fight, Rodriguez said simply. Everyone turned to him. Not to win. We can't win against superior numbers and technology. But we can delay them, create a diversion while the Nilari escape. Dr. Porter frowned. That's suicide, Kevin. Not necessarily. Engineer Winters interjected, eyes bright with sudden inspiration. The Nilari ship may be crippled, but its weapons systems were quite advanced. If we could adapt some of their technology to our systems. Captain Reeves straightened. You have 12 hours, Olivia. Everyone else, prepare evacuation procedures for the Nilari. We're going to need every advantage we can get. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Reeves remained at the viewport, watching the alien ship. The decision was made. They would stand against the Vorkath, not just for the Nilari, but for humanity itself. The UES Harbinger drifted silently in the shadow of a small moon, its engines powered down to minimal output. Only emergency systems and limited life support remained active. On the bridge, the crew waited in tense silence, illuminated by the dim red glow of battle stations. 3 Vorkath vessels approaching the Nilari ship. Lieutenant Gray whispered, as if the enemy might hear through the vacuum of space. Estimated arrival in 7 minutes. Captain Reeves nodded, her face cast in shadows. Status of our modifications, Engineer Winters. Winters looked up from her console, dark circles under her eyes after working 18 hours straight. The Nilari plasma cannons have been integrated into our forward array. They're unstable, but functional. We'll get 1, maybe 2 good shots before the system overloads. That's all we need. Tactical Officer Eric Bennett said confidently. He had spent the night running battle simulations, hit the lead ship hard, then used the confusion to engage the others. Navigation Officer Clark's fingers hovered over her controls. The moon's gravity will give us additional acceleration when we make our move. I've plotted an approach vector that should keep us in their blind spot until the last moment. On the main screen, they watched as the Vorkath ships came into view. They were angular and predatory, with forward sections that resembled fanged maws. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic sheen that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. "They're scanning the Nilari vessel," Martins reported. "No indication they've detected us yet." Captain Reeves took a deep breath. "Lieutenant Harris, status of the evacuation." "Complete, Captain. All surviving Nilari are aboard and secured in the cargo bays. Ambassador Kelth is here in auxiliary control to assist with any technical questions about Vorkath capabilities." Rodriguez checked his tactical display. "The lead Vorkath ship is deploying boarding mechanisms. They're not expecting resistance." "Perfect," Reeves whispered. Her hand tightened on the arm of her chair. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1, now." A harbinger burst from behind the moon, engines flaring to full power. The sudden acceleration pressed the crew into their seats as Clark executed a perfect attack vector. "Weapons hot," Bennett called out, targeting lead vessel's propulsion systems. The hybrid plasma cannons glowed with blue-white energy, then discharged with a force that made the harbinger shudder. The bolt struck the lead Vorkath ship directly in its engine section. Space itself seemed to warp around the impact point as Nilari technology met Vorkath shields. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the enemy vessel's shields flickered and failed, the plasma eating through its hull like acid through paper. "Direct hit," Bennett shouted. "Their main power core is destabilizing." The Vorkath ship listed to one side, emergency systems flickering. The other two vessels reacted with surprising speed, turning to face the unexpected threat. "Evasive maneuvers," Reeves ordered as enemy weapons charge. Clark sent the Harbinger into a spiraling dive that barely avoided the first volley of Vorkath energy weapons. One beam grazed their port side, causing alarms to blare across the bridge. "Port shields down to 30%, Rodriguez reported. "Those weapons pack a punch." Engineer Winters worked frantically at her station. "The plasma cannons are overheating. We can't fire them again without risking a breach." The Harbinger rolled to present its undamaged starboard side as another barrage of enemy fire lanced through space where they had been moments before. Bennett responded with conventional torpedoes, which detonated against Vorkath shields with little effect. "We can't penetrate their defenses with standard weapons," he called out in frustration. A violent impact rocked the ship, throwing crew members against their restraints. "Hull breach on deck 3. Winters shouted, sealing emergency bulkheads. Captain Reeves gripped her command chair as the ship shuddered again. "Clark, get us out of here." Maximum speed toward the rendezvous point. The Harbinger lurched forward, engines straining as the two remaining Vorkath ships gave chase. Behind them, the damaged lead vessel drifted helplessly, internal explosions visible through its breached hull. "They're gaining on us," Gray warned, watching the tactical display. Reeves exchanged glances with Clark. They had hurt the enemy, but at great cost. Now came the most dangerous part of their plan: the escape. The UES Harbinger limped into Outpost Zeta 9's docking bay, trailing debris and venting atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches. Maintenance crews rushed to secure the damaged vessel as medical teams stood by to receive casualties. The station's warning klaxons had been blaring since the ship's desperate transmission 2 hours earlier. Fleet Commander Maria Rodriguez waited at the airlock, her expression dark as the battered crew emerged. When Captain Reeves appeared, her uniform scorched and a makeshift bandage on her temple, Rodriguez stepped forward. "What the hell were you thinking?" she demanded without preamble. "You engaged an unknown hostile species without authorization, nearly lost your ship, and brought aliens onto a military installation." Reeves met her gaze steadily. "With respect, Commander, we made first contact with a civilization on the brink of extinction. The Vorkath would have finished what they started 30 years ago if we hadn't intervened. You exceeded your authority, Captain, This could have triggered an interstellar war. It already is a war, came a voice from behind Reeves. Ambassador Kelf stepped forward, his bluish skin glistening under the station lights. My people are merely the latest victims. Commander Rodriguez's eyes widened at the sight of the Nilari diplomat. Despite being briefed on the refugees, seeing an alien in person was clearly jarring. Commander, Reeves said more quietly, we need to speak in private. What we've learned changes everything. In the station's secure briefing room, Martins and Harris set up a holographic display while Dr. Porter attended to the injured crew members. Ambassador Kelf placed a small device on the table, which projected a three-dimensional star map. The Vorketh have been expanding their territory for centuries, Kelf explained, his voice translating through Lieutenant Harris's modified communicator. These red markers indicate civilizations they have already conquered or destroyed. Commander Rodriguez studied the map, her expression growing more concerned as she counted over 24 extinguished worlds. They follow a pattern, Intelligence Officer Jason Cooper observed, pointing to the expansion. They target species that have just achieved interstellar flight but haven't developed advanced weapons technology. They're methodical predators. And Earth? Rodriguez asked quietly. Martinez highlighted humanity's territory on the map. Based on their current trajectory, we estimate Earth would be encountered within 15 years. We escaped detection previously because we were outside their expansion path, Reeves added. But now that we've engaged them directly, we're on their radar, Rodriguez finished grimly. Ambassador Kelf manipulated the display, revealing new points of light. Not all targeted species were destroyed. Some, like mine, have survivors. Others have managed to hide or establish defensive positions. We have been monitoring Vorkath communications for decades, gathering intelligence. You're suggesting an alliance, Rodriguez said, understanding dawning. A coalition of survivors and next targets, Kelf confirmed. Alone, none of us can stand against them. Together, with your human ingenuity and courage, we might have a chance. Diplomatic Officer Ryan Mitchell, who had been quietly taking notes, spoke up. The Artaxians in the Rigel sector have been resisting Vorkath incursions for years. The Lomarians have advanced shield technology that could be adapted to our vessels. And the Nilari weapons systems, while unstable on our ships, could be properly integrated with time, Engineer Winters added. Commander Rodriguez paced the room, considering the implications. I'll need to consult with Earth Command. This goes beyond my authority. We don't have time for bureaucracy, Reeves argued. The Vorkath now know humans defended their prey. They'll send more ships. Rodriguez stopped pacing and looked at the assembled officers and the alien ambassador. The decision weighed heavily on her features. Finally, she nodded. Initiate diplomatic channels with these potential allies. Mitchell, you'll work with Ambassador Kelf to draft formal alliance proposals. Cooper, I want everything we have on Vorkath tactics and technology. Winters, begin retrofitting our defense systems based on Nilari specifications. She turned to Captain Reeves. You disobeyed direct orders, Lisa, but you may have saved Earth in the process. The Harbinger will be repaired and upgraded for what comes next. And what is that, Commander? Reeves asked. Rodriguez's eyes hardened with resolve. We're going to take the fight to them. The bridge of the UES Harbinger had been transformed. Where once there had been simple human technology, now a blend of 4 different species innovations created a command center unlike anything in Earth's fleet. Captain Reeves stood at the center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the positions of 37 Allied ships. All vessels report ready, Captain, Lieutenant Gray announced, his communication station now augmented with Artaxian quantum relay technology. Reeves nodded. Open a channel to the fleet. The faces of various commanders appeared on the main screen. Human officers alongside blue-skinned Nilari, crystalline Lomarians, and the insectoid Artaxians, all united by a common enemy. This is Captain Reeves. In 2 hours, we will engage the largest Vorkath battle group ever confronted. Our intelligence suggests their command vessel is among them. This is not just about vengeance for past atrocities. It's about preventing future ones. She paused, looking at each commander in turn. The Vorkath believe themselves to be apex predators. Today, we show them they're wrong. Execute jump sequence on my mark. One by one, the Allied ships vanished into hyperspace, reappearing at the edge of the Vorkath-controlled Proxima system. The enemy response was immediate. Dozens of angular warships breaking formation to intercept the invasion force. They're moving exactly as predicted, Tactical Officer Bennett observed. The smaller vessels are forming a protective screen around their command ship. Ambassador Kelth, now serving as special advisor, studied the enemy movements. The Vorkath hive mind requires constant communication with their leadership. If we can isolate or destroy the command vessel, the rest will become disorganized. Artaxian Group, execute Maneuver Delta, Reeves ordered. Lomarian ships, prepare to engage their flanking units. Human vessels, form up on the Harbinger. We're going for the command ship. Space lit up with energy weapons as the battle began. The Artaxian vessels, fast and nimble, darted between enemy formations, drawing fire and creating gaps in their defense. Lomarian cruisers absorbed punishing hits on their advanced shields while returning devastating barrages. Enemy formation is breaking. Rodriguez reported from her position commanding the flanking group. Their coordination is faltering. Lieutenant Gray worked frantically at his station. I've isolated their command frequencies, implementing the disruption algorithm now. The effect was immediate. Several Vorkath ships suddenly stopped responding to their companions, their movements becoming erratic. Now, Reeves ordered. All ships, focus fire on Sector 7. The Allied fleet converged their attack on a single point in the Vorkath defense screen. Under the concentrated barrage, enemy shields collapsed. A path to the command vessel opened briefly. We have our shot, Bennett announced. Firing solutions locked. Engineer Winters called from engineering. Nilari plasma cannons at full charge. They're stable this time, Captain. Fire everything we have, Reeves commanded. The Harbinger shuddered as its combined human and alien weapons discharged simultaneously. The energy burst crossed space in seconds, striking the Vorkath command ship's vulnerable propulsion system. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a chain reaction began. The enemy vessel's power core destabilized, cascading failures rippling through its structure. Secondary explosions bloomed across its hull. Direct hit, Bennett shouted, unable to contain his excitement. Their command ship is breaking up. The effect on the remaining Vorkath fleet was immediate and dramatic. Some vessels began firing randomly, others attempted to flee, while some simply drifted, weapons power down. The hive connection is severed, Kelth explained, his gill structures fluttering with emotion. Without central command, they cannot coordinate complex actions. Reeves watched as Allied ships methodically disabled the remaining enemy vessels. Lieutenant Gray, signal all ships to target engines and weapons only. We want prisoners for interrogation. As the battle wound down, Science Officer Martinez approached the captain. We did it, he said quietly. We actually defeated them. Captain Reeves nodded, but her expression remained solemn. This was one fleet, Paul. The Vorkath control dozens of systems. We've won the battle, but the war has just begun. She turned to address her crew. Secure all prisoners. Download any data you can from captured vessels, and prepare for Phase 2. Her eyes gleamed with determination. We're taking back those conquered worlds. The central plaza of New Nilari was filled with thousands of beings from a dozen different species. In the center stood a monument, a simple obelisk of blue-tinted stone, carved with names in multiple languages. Captain Lisa Reeves ran her fingers over the human section, pausing at familiar names. 47 crew members of the Harbinger had not lived to see this day. They did not die in vain. Ambassador Kelth said quietly, approaching from behind. The Nilari diplomat wore ceremonial robes adorned with symbols representing both his lost homeworld and his people's new beginning. No, they didn't, Reeves agreed, stepping back to take in the full memorial. But I still wish they could see what their sacrifice achieved. Around them, the colony thrived. What had started as a refugee settlement 3 years ago had grown into a bustling center of interstellar cooperation. Buildings of various architectural styles reflected the diverse inhabitants, curved Nilari structures alongside angular human designs and crystalline Lomerian towers. The Coalition Council is ready to begin the ceremony. Diplomatic Officer Mitchell informed them, approaching with a delegation of officials. The group made their way to a large amphitheater where representatives from all 17 member species waited. At the center stage stood Fleet Commander Rodriguez, now wearing the insignia of Admiral. 3 years ago, Rodriguez began, her voice carrying across the hushed gathering. A single human ship answered a decades-old cry for help. That act of compassion and courage sparked what historians will remember as the Liberation War. Holographic displays activated, showing maps of formerly Vorkath-controlled space. Green indicators highlighted liberated worlds, growing in number as the simulation progressed through the campaigns of the past years. The Vorkath Empire, which stood for centuries, has fallen. Their leadership caste has been dismantled, their subjugated worlds freed, and their technology repurposed to rebuild what they destroyed. Ambassador Kelth stepped forward. As the first species to be defended by humans, the Nilari wished to present a gift to Earth. 2 Nilari attendants unveiled a glowing orb containing swirling blue energy. "This is the heart of waters," Kelth explained. "Salvaged from our dying homeworld, it contains the genetic records of all Nilari aquatic life. We offer this to Earth's oceans as a symbol of our gratitude and shared future." Captain Reeves accepted the gift with a formal bow. Science Officer Martinez looked on with barely contained excitement at the scientific treasure being presented. Admiral Rodriguez continued the ceremony. "Today, we ratify the Coalition Charter, a promise that never again will developing civilizations face extinction alone. Our combined fleet will patrol the borders of Coalition space, and our scientists will work together to advance all our peoples." She gestured toward Captain Reeves. "And leading our first joint exploration mission will be the commander who started it all, aboard the new flagship UES Unity, formerly the Harbinger." Applause erupted across the amphitheater. Reeves looked surprised. This detail hadn't been shared with her beforehand. Later, as celebrations continued into the evening, Reeves stood with her original bridge crew on a balcony overlooking the colony. Engineer Winters raised a glass. "To those who didn't make it," she said softly. "And to what they helped create," Lieutenant Gray added. They drank in silence, watching the 3 moons of New Nilari rise over the horizon. Below them, humans walked alongside aliens who just 3 years ago had been unknown to Earth. "What do you think is out there?" Dr. Porter asked, gazing at the stars. "Beyond Coalition space. More people who need help, probably," Security Officer Rodriguez answered. "More bullies like the Vorkath." Captain Reeves smiled. "And more potential friends. The universe just got a lot smaller, and a lot more interesting." As if to emphasize her point, a group of Nilari children ran past, playing with human and Artaxian youngsters in a game that combined elements from all 3 cultures. "When that distress signal reached us, we thought we were just saving one ship," Navigation Officer Clark mused. "We had no idea we were changing the course of galactic history." Captain Reeves watched the children play, symbols of a future unimaginable just a few years ago. "That's the thing about answering a cry for help," she said. "You never know how far the ripples will spread." In the night sky above New Nilari, the first ships of the Coalition exploration fleet prepared to depart, carrying the combined knowledge, courage, and compassion of 17 species to the stars beyond.